Is it finally going to let me record? Okay, I guess it is. Hey there everyone, and welcome to the first video I've made in a very, very long time. I'm on Linux again, and here's why. So, the episode has not been released yet, and it hasn't even been recorded yet, but I have been given the privilege of being on Tech Over Tea, which is a podcast by Brody Robertson all about tech and Linux and all that wonderful stuff. And I get to be on it to talk about Linux accessibility and blind accessibility and everything that keeps me going back to Windows. And then everything that keeps me going back to Linux because I hate Windows. And I guess I'm making this video to announce that, because we're going to be recording it tomorrow, which is exciting. And really nervous. And makes me really nervous, considering I can't form a proper sentence right now. But anyway, I'm on KDE right now, and I'm on Arch Linux, and I'm on NVIDIA, and I'm on Xorg. And I plan on talking about a lot of my main issues on the podcast. But obviously, I'm not going to be able to show them, because a lot of my issues have to do with multiple monitors and accessibility tools, and I cannot reasonably show them on Brody's podcast. So, you know what? I'm going to just do it in this video. So, this is KDE, obviously, like I said. And I have the mostly default layout. I've themed it a little bit. I've messed with the font, and I've changed my wallpaper. But, I can't see any of this. It's way too small. That's because when I'm using a computer, I zoom into it. And this is how far I typically zoom in. There's the OBS controls. That's because it zoomed into where my mouse was. This is how I use the computer. I pan around the screen like this. And specifically, I use the Kwin zoom feature. So if you go to desktop effects, and open that up, takes a little bit because Xorg and NVIDIA, I'm gonna be fixing that soon. But I have most of the compositor effects disabled. I just have color inversion, which does this on a hotkey. I have it bound to Control-Alt-I, which is the Windows binding for it, because I'm used to it, and it should honestly be the default. But Zoom, I also have enabled. KDE handles this really well. They have it turned on by default. On any KDE install, you hit the Windows key and the equals key, meta key and equals, if we're being Linuxy, and you will zoom into the screen. Even on a Steam Deck, if you plug in a keyboard into it, it will work. It's amazing. I love it. They use the Windows keybinds. It's amazing. Every desktop environment and Wayland compositor should be doing this. But I don't have default settings. What I do is by default, KDE has this setting right here, mouse tracking, set to proportional. Not centered, proportional. And proportional is the default setting. So if I hit OK on this, what it's going to do is it's going to move the zoom area based on my mouse position on the workspace. And I can get around with this default setting. It's enough for me to be able to navigate the interface and do certain things. But it is a really horrible zoom movement mode. And I'm going to show you guys why. So, let's go down here. And I'm going to open a terminal. And what I want to do is, I have a prompt here, and I want to be able to type in some stuff. Neofetch, maybe. And I want to read some of the stats, okay? But once I get my cursor, or once I get the zoom area to where I want to read, let's say that I want to read this first line at the top. Well, I can't read it because the cursor's in the way. And if I move the cursor out of the way, the text moves. Because I'm in proportional mode. So if I Alt-Tab back over to the KDE desktop effects settings, and I go ahead and, navigate over. This is really awkward, because to click this, the button needs to be, in between my two monitors, so it's, cut off by two bezels, and it looks weird. But we have to go in here, and we need to switch proportional to push. And what push does is it behaves exactly like it does in Windows 11 and Windows 10 and every magnifier version of Windows since Windows 7, where if you move your cursor around within the workspace, the zoom area does not move. It only moves if you push up against the outer edge of of your workspace, and it will move in the direction you push. So if I want to move to the left, I have to move my mouse cursor to the left edge of my left monitor, which is the outer left edge of my workspace, and push against the edge, and that will pan me to the left. If I want to move to the right, I have to do the same thing, but pushing against the right edge of my right monitor, and you can't see me doing that because the cursor's on the wrong screen, and I'm not recording that monitor, but you can see I'm moving to the right. Likewise, if I want to move up, I push up against the upper edge of any of my monitors, because I only have two monitors and they're in a horizontal arrangement, and I will move up. Likewise, to go down, I push against the down edge of either of my monitors. This is how I do it. It makes it really easy for me to position the zoom area to somewhere where I want to be working, or typing things in, or reading, or whatnot, and then if the mouse cursor's in the way, I can just move it off to somewhere where it's no longer in the way, and I can do what I'm doing. And then when I need to move the zoom area a little bit, I can grab the mouse, and I move it in the direction I want to go. This is how I've been using the computer for about 15 years. The problem is, KDE has a little bit of a bug. And you're seeing it right now. I cannot move my zoom area up past about here, without things being cut off. The decorations of this window, I can see maybe a few pixels of them on my left monitor. And this is a problem. I'll tell you why this is a problem. Let's go into a more complicated app that has a proper application menu. I really don't like header bars. I like my application menus. So let's go into Rider, JetBrains Rider, the IDE. And this is a problem because if you look, I don't know if OBS is picking this up, but for me in person, the file menu, the word is cut off at the top. Luckily, I'm familiar enough with Rider to be able to navigate most things with hotkeys. If I want to switch files, it's a double shift and I start typing. I'm used to this. But if there's some obscure thing that I want to do that I haven't learned the hotkey for, first of all, I need to figure out which menu it is, and all the menus are cut off, so I can't read them properly. And that's a problem. It's a big problem. And here's why this is a bug. Here's what the bug is. What causes the bug is, first of all, that I'm in push mode. If I'm not in push mode, it works fine because it follows the mouse cursor exactly. But the other problem, the other cause of this bug is if I go into display configuration, I don't have my monitors fully lined up. On my actual desk right now, I have a dual arm monitor stand that just clips or clamps onto the back of the desk and holds onto my monitors in midair. The problem is I don't have two of the same monitor, and the mount points are not lined up, and the stand is not height adjustable per monitor. So my monitors are vertically offset as you can see in the configuration here. One is higher than the other. That's because that's how it physically is in real life. And it's really important when you're zooming into the screen to have this set up correctly, because it's not going to come across on recording. But if I zoom really far in, to the point where this text doesn't fully fit on screen, I have to kind of position the zoom area so that the text is in the middle of both my monitors. Which means there's a bezel down the middle. And it would be really, really nice if the text exactly lined up along the bezel, which it does. If I don't have the monitors set up the way that I do, such that they line up virtually the same way that they line up in real life, I don't have this, and I have ended up misreading entire sentences because of it. So this is really important. I have to arrange my monitors like this. There is no way around it, short of buying another monitor stand, which I don't want to have to do. It costs money that I shouldn't have to spend to work around a bug. This becomes even more of a problem if I want to do any sort of customization of KDE whatsoever. If I enter edit mode, and I drag this panel up to the top of the screen, which, by the way, is how I would prefer to use it. I don't like it being at the bottom. I like it being at the top, and I don't like to have a taskbar. I like to have the KDE launcher. Then, where this taskbar, task manager thing would be, I would have a global menu. So your file, edit, view, stuff like that. And then I would have my system tray next to that global menu. And then I would have a large gap, and then all the way over here, where my system tray actually is, I would have the date and time. That's how I want to set things up on my system. And I just can't do it because of this bug. Because, what I have to do is, if I just pan up, half of the taskbar is cut off right now. And it's at 40 pixels high. If I go into edit mode, that is not edit mode. I don't know what I opened, but that is definitely not edit mode. If I change the size to 24, which is that sweet area for me where it makes sense to have a global menu, now it's basically completely cut off on my left monitor and completely unusable. All I see are little color bars. I can't use this. So what I have to do, and it's really annoying, I have to move my mouse all the way to the other monitor, pan it up a little bit, and then move all the way back, and now I can use my top bar. This is a really annoying bug. But it's also really subtle. And I know exactly why it's happening. It's because of how Kwin kind of treats multiple monitors as a giant virtual workspace. In terms of how it renders and how it tracks the mouse. So whenever I'm panning up like this, it is only panning when my mouse cursor reaches the top of my right monitor, wherever that would be. Even if my mouse is on the left monitor. This is not how it should be done. I kind of stumbled for a bit there because my headset went into sleep mode and I needed to turn it on, but this is not how it should be done. I can understand why it's implemented the way that it is. I can kind of envision the code in my head. I don't know where the KDE source code is or the Kwin source code is, so I can't look at it, and I don't know where to even begin with editing it to fix it. But what it should be doing, and I really hope they fix this in KDE Plasma 6, really hope they do, And I really hope other compositors do this too with their screen magnifiers. What it should be doing is it should be detecting which actual monitor my mouse is on, like accounting for the zoom. So if my monitor or if my mouse is on any of this area of the screen right now, I'm on my left monitor. As soon as it stops being visible in the recording, I'm on my right monitor, and it should be detecting that. And based on that info, it should be able to detect which edge of the monitor I'm currently on that I'm pushing up against. And it should push up when I reach that edge. Whereas right now, it's kind of taking all monitors and kind of figuring out the outer edge along all of them and only pushing when I reach that edge, which leads to this bug. And it's really subtle, and it's fairly simple to work around, but it's really annoying, and it slows me down, because that little bit of time where I have to move to one monitor, pan up a little bit, then move to the other, it's only a few seconds, but I do it a lot, and it adds up a lot. So please, if a KDE dev sees this, or someone who knows how to use Bugzilla, please either fix it or open a bug report for me, because quite honestly, I don't know how to use Bugzilla. I just want to use my computer the way I have for the last half of my life. Please, I don't want to go back to Microsoft Windows 11. I'm fed up. I want Linux. I just want to be able to pan around my screen properly. That is it. I'm excited for the Tech Over Tea podcast. It's gonna be fun. Gonna be a lot more rants like this, even if I can't show stuff. But, yeah. As always, I'm Michael, even though my username on Linux and everywhere else is Richie. Deal with it. I like that name. Everybody calls me it. But I'm Michael. As always, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Hope you're not blind using Linux. And I will see you guys in the next video. Now I need to zoom in 8,000 times just to stop recording because I have set up a stream deck. And